Fortnite Festival has had some pretty controversial updates recently, and I kind of wanted to talk about it, so let's get into it. It started when the two new Paramore songs weren't released today, even though we're usually supposed to get jam tracks on Thursday. Oddly enough, the other jam track that's supposed to come out this week, Roar, came out on Tuesday, so it came out earlier than normal, but that could have been excused because it came with an emote and a whole bundle. Fortnite even advertised these two new tracks like they normally do, and it was on Thursday when they weren't in the item shop, so of course people were confused. They released a pretty cryptic message saying that they'll be available later on in the week, but that left people even more confused. Just a week before this, they also removed pretty much all of the jam tracks from the item shop, and that was very interesting, and we don't know what happened until today. Fortnite Festival released a message on Twitter talking about what they're going to do for jam tracks in the item shop. Starting off, they did talk about how they expanded the amount of free jam tracks you're able to play every week. There's now 40. I'm pretty sure before it was either 30 or 20, so that's pretty cool. After that, though, they kind of lose it a little bit. They talk about how they're kind of shifting the release schedule for jam tracks, now being a little more different, so they're definitely going to change some things about the release dates, which honestly doesn't really matter that much. Releasing every Thursday was more consistent and we got used to it, but I don't think it's a problem that they're changing the release dates. Apparently we're going to be able to use jam tracks for more things soon, so who knows what that's going to be for. Hopefully something cool like the moments, because that was a really cool feature added in the beginning of the season. And then we get to the most controversial part. It turns out that all these jam tracks being gone from the item shop was intentional. Now the jam track shop is going to work like the normal item shop, where a bunch of songs are going to be picked to be added to the item shop, basically being a rotating shop like I said, the item shop in Fortnite. Now I'll be completely honest, this sucks. I don't know why they're doing this. From their wording, it seems like they think that the shop was too cluttered, which I completely agree with. I think the way that the jam track shop was, it was so cluttered. It was alphabetized, but like sometimes a song that starts with the letter C would be all the way in the bottom. But I don't know why they think doing this is what will help. All you need to do is add a search bar and maybe fix the UI of the jam track shop to make it a little better. But otherwise, this is an awful change, and I really hope they revert this. I do think that there's a possibility that they may, because they've done stuff like this in the past where they've reverted bad changes, and it's so strange, to be honest. The whole re-releasing Paradigm situation and then making all items from the Battle Pass be able to come back, and then also bringing back Renegade Raider and Aerial Assault Trooper, it really made it feel like they're trying to get away from FOMO, which I do think they are. But for some reason, this is different and they're not going to do it for Festival. It's just really inconsistent, and I hope that they realize that. Another thing I wanted to talk about relating to Festival is the headliners and how they're treated. People aren't very happy with how many tracks Miku has gotten. So far, she only has 6 or 7 songs in the game right now. Although this is more than Karol G and Snoop Dogg, it's also less than Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, and Metallica. The most interesting part, though, is that our first ever headliner, The Weeknd, has 7 jam tracks in the game, with only 1 releasing outside of his season. I do think that they should release more jam tracks for their headliners, because obviously they're the headliners, and compared to the other artists during that season, they do. They definitely have more jam tracks of the headliner than of just some random artist in the middle of a season. But at the end of the day, how much is that really Fortnite's fault? I mean, we don't know what happens behind the scenes with these guys. There could be some things that prevent them from getting more songs, especially when Miku isn't just one artist, it's multiple people. Also, we have to take into account that Miku wasn't supposed to be the headliner for this season. It was supposed to be the band New Jeans, but because of some issues they had, it got cancelled and we got Miku instead. I wouldn't be surprised if she was just being developed as a normal skin, kind of like Juice WRLD, but then they decided, since the New Jeans stuff got cancelled, they switched to Miku. I still really like Fortnite Festival. I think it's probably the best metaverse mode besides Battle Royale and OG, but they really need to revert this new item shop change because it's a very bad thing. All these jam tracks should be able to be bought whenever you want, so hopefully this feature gets reverted. Either way, if you like the video, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.